Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lock On Podcast, episode 9. Welcome back. Been off for enjoying the holidays the last couple of weeks. Been busy, but we are back. Got lots to share, lots to talk about. We are one down on the panel today, but we're going to make up for it with, I'm sure, some arguments, some fun all around. Sean, how you doing?
Yes, I'm good. I have a lot to talk about.
I'm excited to hear it. I'm excited. Tim, how you been doing, buddy?
Hey, I've been all right. Got my PTO for Christmas in, so
Nice.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear.
rocking and rolling.
Awesome. Well, we're not going to waste any time. We got a lot to talk about. Our main topic today, we're shooting this a little earlier than normal. We got the Game Awards coming up, so we kind of want to go through a few categories and discuss who we think is going to win, who we think got snubbed. A little different than our last episode where we just kind of went through and talked about some of the games in each. But now we're going to give you our opinion on every single category. But before we do that, let's kind of just catch up where we're at. We know we've been away for a few weeks. Sean, I'll kind of start with you. What have you been playing? Anything new? Anything good?
Yes, and kinda. Since the last time when I finished up Demon Souls, I went into I did Miles Morales. And I really liked that. I didn't like it as much as the original Spider-Man game, mostly because I felt the story was stronger in the first one. There's a relationship, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, with Miles and someone else that I don't feel like was developed enough for it to land the way they wanted it to land. And some people it did, but for me it didn't. But the gameplay was phenomenal. I like that they pared down. He doesn't like Peter in the first game. I don't know if anybody played it, but anybody on the panel. But it's like he had so many gadgets and so many abilities that it was like some of them you just didn't use, So this one they pared it down to like 4 gadgets, and they were all useful. So that was good. The new Venom ability is really good. But yeah, I like that. Then I played the Call of Duty Black Ops. What is it? Cold War.
Cold War.
Any fucking names.
I think it gets more of a mouthful every year.
Yeah, I played that. I played the campaign for that. I didn't like it. It's actually my second least favorite Call of Duty campaign after Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 is the worst.
We don't even consider that. We pretend that doesn't exist.
It's so bad. But this one, I don't know, man. Like, I think they had a lot of really good ideas, but I feel like the shorter development time didn't give them enough time to really flesh out those ideas. Like, there's this one mission where you have to basically frame somebody for something that you're doing, and they give you a bunch of options of how to do it, which I thought was really neat, but it doesn't go as far as I think it could have. It's also the least bombastic Call of Duty I've played, where to me it peaks really early on the airfield, and then it doesn't quite get up there again. But yeah, I was very disappointed with that one. I mean, it was solid. I'm not mad that I played it, but it's lower on my list of Call of Duty games. And now I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I'm about 50 hours into that game. And I really like it, but I don't think some of the improvements that they supposedly made are actually improvements. Like, there's still a ton of side quests, but instead of them being involved side quests, it's literally like you can do something as mundane as help a priest carry apples to his house. And then that counts. And then or they're like, oh, I lost this treasure. And you go looking and there's a shipwreck right there. So you just dive down and get treasure.
It sounds like it's a little bit more. I remember some of the earlier Assassin's Creeds had kind of those mundane side quests that, oh, this person, go steal this thing for this person and give it back to this guy.
It's not even that. It's not even that involved. It's
really
there's very few things where you have to do. There's some cool stuff. There's some Animus related stuff where you're a glitch that you have to do a puzzle. Those are pretty cool. And there's these curse grounds that you have to basically, like, you'll come across them and it'll basically start eating away at your life, and you have to find the idol that's there and destroy it to lift the curse from the area. That stuff's pretty neat. I think it's getting up there. The wildest thing is that there's like these enemies that you have to fight, like boss enemies, like they're legendary monster animals, and then there's like these boss, like, optional bosses, but every single one I've come across has been like exponentially a higher level than I am. So I walk into the arena, I see the thing pop up. It says I'm minimum like 20 levels ahead of where I am. So I'm like, oh,
Get out of there. Get out of there.
And it's just like, so it's just, I don't know. It's like I'm building up. The story's getting a little better, but I still feel like Odyssey was a stronger of this new batch of AC games, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's good that you're playing a lot. I think we kind of missed that with the pandemic going on, everything getting delayed. There was kind of that delay in, what I dubbed gaming season. Throughout October, it didn't feel like there were a lot of huge releases, maybe until Watch Dogs had come out. But now now they're really coming through, and you got to really make time to dedicate to certain games. Tim, how about you? You playing anything right now?
Yeah, I returned to Hitman 2 because there was a bunch of content there that I didn't get to.
And before you continue, Hitman 3 trailer, what do you think?
Yeah.
Really quick.
I am so stoked for that game. Every single location they've released, I'm really excited to get in there and look around.
You are definitely our resident Hitman.
Oh yeah.
You're so into those games.
I think Hitman 2016 is easily the game of this whole past generation, man. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. I like Hitman 2 a lot. I think the graphics were a little cleaner in Hitman 1, and I think that's the only thing that makes it better than Hitman 2, really. But and it makes sense. Hitman 2, they were on a tighter budget. But I'm so excited for that. So I returned back to Hitman 2 because there was a bunch of stuff I hadn't gotten to yet because I like to play that kind of slow, much slower than most games because I like to really dig into each area and learn its, where everything is and kind of master each area. And so I've been returning to that. I've really appreciated the amount of complexity they shove into such, like, they feel like big open areas, but the amount of material and triggerable events and everything in those areas, they feel incredibly compact. Like there's plenty of games that would have areas that big where you only use a third of it, Mm-hmm. So that's been great. I've been enjoying that. And then I've also been playing a game called Pawn Poo for the site. It's that game where it almost looks.
What is it called?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Poo.
You are definitely. Can I also add to the Hitman thing? You are a resident. You play games that I've never heard of, and you make them sound fun and enjoyable. So I'm like, oh wow, where does he find these games that I've never heard of?
Well, I tend to look at because I don't like to pay full price if I don't have to because I tend to not be able to put enough time into it to justify a full price. So that means I end up looking at a lot of indie games and trying to find smaller stuff. But yeah, Pawn Poo is you play as kind of like a cosmic duck. And
this is already a great start.
You're playing. You were a child of the god duck, but you escaped from the giant egg, and now you work for the secret duck.
Are you sure you weren't like high or something when you played?
No, no. It is. The story is like a 2-minute cutscene at the beginning of the game, but it's very strange. Visuals wise, it's super cool looking. I mean, the visuals are by far the best part of it. It looks it's all hand drawn looking stuff. I don't know if it's actually hand drawn, but it's black and white, except for the collectibles. There's these little feather things you collect that are Technicolor. The eyes of there's 4 different ducks you can play as, and they all have different shapes and colors of eyes. And the basic game, it gets really hard. It's
side scroller.
It's a top down.
Okay.
One of the things I like about it is that it is a top down that's not made of pixel art, because I've grown so tired of pixel art games. And
Same.
It's not my thing, man. There's some pixel art I like, but it has to be like late pixel art, like late Super Nintendo. for me to, or really fine pixels, really tiny.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you're diving into a few games before. I'm assuming you're getting Cyberpunk.
I think I only have an Xbox One S.
You're gonna wait?
I think I might wait because
That's bold. That's bold. I'll give you that. That's bold.
I don't know if it's gonna run on the Xbox One S.
Yeah, I'll have to wait. I have to wait and see on it.
Considering the experience I had with Watchdog Legion, which also, I haven't talked about that. Watchdog Legion was a crash fest for me, man. The last time I tried to play it, it crashed 3 times.
Wow.
And the last 2 times were within 5 minutes of each other. I loaded it, it crashed. I loaded it, and it crashed almost immediately again. Infuriating.
Oh, I bet.
So,
but
I haven't gone back to that on PS5 because I'm still waiting for them to transfer my trophies over.
Yeah, there were a lot of issues with Watch Dogs, especially. So we're hoping that it's one of those games that you're just like, buy it, Boxing Day or the holidays, after, and it'll be one of those $40 games real quick.
Sure.
For those who live in the United States, Kyle's.
Oh yeah, I guess you guys don't have Boxing Day.
Yes.
I picked that up too. The good old.
Well, I'm happy you guys are. Yeah, I'm happy you guys are playing lots of good stuff. For me, honestly, like I started Gears Tactics, I started COD, I started. I'm trying to remember. I started another campaign game, and I was looking at them all. I'm enjoying like the COD multiplayer, and I got back into Destiny. And I'm looking here. I keep looking at the dates, and it keeps ticking down and down and down until Cyberpunk. So I'm like, man, I got to cut some of these and just go back at a later time. So I just finished the COD campaign, and I'm like, okay, that's it. That's it for single player games until Cyberpunk is out. Obviously, tomorrow night, I believe.
I have it coming. It's Thursday. Tomorrow night, midnight.
Yeah.
Or 9 o'clock on my side, my time. But like, dude, I'm getting it for PS4, and I think I might just wait.
Yeah,
I think I might just
I'm
hearing. I'm
sensing a trend.
Like, I want to wait to see, because everybody said that the patch isn't out when they reviewed it, and then CDPR said that the patch is supposed to be like night and day. But I'm like, why would you put out? I don't understand why you would send a game out for review, and not have that patch ready.
Because I got a patch. I know I got a patch today, and then I believe CD Projekt Red said that there's going to be another patch on day 1.
Oh, you have it preloaded? So for your preloading?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's 2 patches that are going to be released after that the game has been reviewed. So, for those sites that did their reviews in progress instead of scoring it, probably the smarter idea. Obviously, I'm not sure if they had prior knowledge to this, but it was probably a smart idea. To back up claims of it being, feel like a new game. We'll see if it holds up. Hoping it does, because I want I want a half decent. Let's not kid ourselves. We know it's an RPG. We know if it's the size of a Skyrim or a Witcher, it's going to have bugs. I feel like this is almost a standard RPG thing now. I can't remember the last RPG that came out that was fairly clean of
The Outer Worlds was clean.
What game?
It's a much smaller game.
Yeah.
It was much smaller, but I don't think there,
Mm-hmm.
That was a significantly smaller game and far less ambitious.
But you know what? I'm happy Cyberpunk's coming out. I think everybody's just kind of sick and tired of the wait. And speaking of go ahead, John.
I'm just happy. It's one of those things where, like, I'm fucking happy it's out, so I don't have to hear about it coming out anymore.
No more hype,
I mean?
just the game.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I'm just so relieved that that's happening in 2 days.
Yep, that's why I'm pumped. Anyway, let's jump into our first topic, and I believe our only topic, just because there's a lot to kind of go through. We're going to talk about the Game Awards. We're gonna try to play a little bit of a game here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the nominations to select. Obviously, there's a lot, and we're just going to probably talk about the main categories that most people care about. I'm going to be reading them out. We're going to vote on who thinks should win and who we think will win and who we want to win is our 2 categories that we're going to be talking about. So let's just jump right into the Game Awards. We're going to start off big, and we're just going to do Game of the Year. You've got Doom, Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing, Last of Us Part 2. And I'm going to kick it off, and I think Ghosts will win. And the reason why I say I think Ghosts will win is I think the Game Awards, and again, I believe this is the only political category for me. And what I mean by political is just controversial. If Last of Us 2 wins, people are going to go insane online. That's just how it's going to be. And I feel like the Game Awards are going to look at this and be like, I feel like we're going to get a ton of negative press. Not even press, just reaction if we do this. I feel like they're going to play it safe with Ghosts. But we'll see. We'll see. The game I want to win is probably Ghosts. I haven't even played it. I'm up for effort since a lot of these are PlayStation games. I don't have a PlayStation right now. I really want to get a PS4 just to pick up next to the Series X that I've got. But all the gameplay I've seen of Ghosts, it's gorgeous. It's just Sucker Punch can do so many different genres so well. And it's crazy that you see a studio that consistently does different genres of games, and they do them so damn well. Sean, I'm going to pass it over to you. What game do you want to see win?
Well, I want to see The Last of Us win because
I figured.
Following up on what you said, they're going to get if Last of Us wins or doesn't win, they're going to get shit. They're going to get shit not from the fans who wanted it to win, and they're going to get shit from the people who didn't.
So it's a controversial category for sure. And I can't remember if there has been this kind of controversy around a Game of the Year award in recent memory.
It is for different reasons.
Yeah.
Like Overwatch winning had a backlash. Dragon Age winning had a backlash, like whatever. But here's the thing. That's what I want to win. I have a very strong sinking feeling that Animal Crossing is going to win. The game was so popular.
Yeah.
This year, so popular. It's positive. Like I want to retch every time I think about it, but I know that the general feeling is positive for that game. Like the vibes it gives are positive.
And especially with the year that we've had,
a
lot of people kind of turn to that game for, it's fun, it's casual, people can enjoy it, and anyone can play it.
It's not.
I can definitely see your
murdering people every 5 seconds. But the thing is, here's the one thing. On an interesting note, it would be very interesting if Ghost won, because that would mean a ninja game and then a samurai game won back to back, with Sekiro last year and then Ghost this year. So that would be neat too. The only game I don't want Animal Crossing to win, but the only game I don't see having a real shot at all is Doom Eternal.
Yeah,
I don't even know why it's in there.
It's a good game. It's hard because if this was the first game, and you erase your memory of Doom 2016. I know that's stupid to say, but it's a good game. Like, it's a solid game.
If the category was perfectly fine but most disappointing sequel, then we'd have a contest.
Yes.
But you're saying it right there, Kyle. You're saying the word fine. It's not an amazing game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a game it's
not keeping people talking. No one's talking about it.
Zeitgeist. It was never a Zeitgeist game. It came out, people played it, and then they moved on.
There were memes beforehand.
Last of Us, Zeitgeist game. Ghost of Tsushima, Zeitgeist game. Final Fantasy Remake, Zeitgeist game. Those are, you know what I mean? All these games were talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. Doom was not.
Doom was beforehand because it was on the same day as Animal Crossing, and that was funny. But afterwards, everyone shut up about it.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Tim?
Multiplayer didn't have the legs to keep people coming back, and the single player had some very blaring shortcomings that I'm just shocked nobody caught. Okay. Somebody should have said, "Hey, you ever think this Marauder is just not that much fun anymore?"
Oh, a lot of people talk about that. The Marauder.
No, but I mean,
talk about the Marauder a lot
during development. I'm surprised no one told them that.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe we should.
How about for you, Tim? What are you kind of thinking for your? What do you want to see to win?
I would like to see. So total confession, I actually haven't played any of these games.
I thought for sure you were going to tell me I haven't played any of these games except for Hades.
No, I actually haven't played any of them. But I would like it if Ghost of Tsushima won, and that's mostly a heart thing because that's Sucker Punch, and I will live and die by Sly Cooper. which isn't.
They've made quite a few games since then, Tim.
Yes, they've made. I know all the infamous games and everything. And I get that, but that's the only dog I have in this fight. I have no affinity for the Final Fantasy series or anything like that. Doom was my most anticipated game of the year, and it really fell short for me. As much as I enjoyed it, I beat it, and I think I 100%ed the campaign actually, but it just wasn't what it could have been. So yeah, I'm thinking Ghost of Tsushima would be what I like. I have a feeling that it's probably going to be The Last of Us Part 2.
Wow.
And I think partially because that game, the Game Awards are as much a showpiece of the potential of video games as much as they are what players like. And I think that people see The Last of Us Part 2 as an incredible potential piece for the kinds of issues video games can cover, and I think some of the controversy around it in some ways helps that argument that this is a game that can inspire the kind of discussions that really high quality, high-end films can inspire. And so I think that for that reason alone, because it could be seen as something that edifies, even though, again, I've never played it, I can't speak for it myself, but the word around it is that it's something that can lift up the medium, which I think is something that the Game Awards care about. So I could see that winning for that reason.
And that's my thing with Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima, it's a great game, but it feels like a video game. Like it feels like they just totally, like, the story's good, but it's not like I wasn't moved.
But isn't that what you want in a Game Awards? You want it to feel like the video game?
Yeah, but I want it to be. I would like it to be the actual exemplary video game.
Okay,
like,
so you're looking at it more not as a video game, but more as like an art piece. Almost.
Not just an art piece. I think it can be both. Like, my favorite game last year was Death Stranding, because it was a video game, but it did new things. And if it's going to be like Last of Us, like, if you distill it down, it's a stealth shooter. You know what I mean? But has good, well-designed action set pieces if you need it. But the storytelling is so good that it elevates everything in the game. And so to me, it's like, and it takes big swings. It takes risk. Ghost of Tsushima, the only risk was Sucker Punch making a new game. Like, it's a really good, but very familiar, very safe game.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm coming from. I like when games take risks. You know what I mean? I'd rather have an ambitious failure than just a really safe game. And don't get me wrong, some of my favorite games are very safe. Uncharted 2 is a very safe game, but there was nothing like it at the time. Everyone could say that Uncharted was like a kind of a rip off of Tomb Raider, but prior to Uncharted 2, Tomb Raider was nothing like this. Like, the basic concept of adventure and exploring and raiding tombs, yes, but in terms of set pieces and the way the action was in that game, no. But Portal 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, because it takes the formula from Portal and puts it in this phenomenally written story and presentation. So that's where I'm coming from. I just think it's you can take the gameplay, refine it, but you got to bring something a little bit new to it that I have not experienced before, for me personally. And Ghost didn't do that.
Yeah. And we're going to move on here, but I'll make the last comment. Sean, back to your point here. If, as you said, Ghost of Tsushima wins this year and Sekiro won last year, Assassin's Creed has to look at this and say, okay, we've got to do a ninja Japanese Asian whatever game finally. Everyone's asking for it. You can win Game of the Year. You can win Game of the Year if it wins. Just do the ninja game.
Watch it be the next Assassin's Creed game. It'll get nominated.
They did. a 2D version to that Assassin's Creed China.
Oh, we want the whole thing. We want the whole thing. Move down the list. Best game direction, best narrative. I'm just looking at the categories. They're pretty much the same as best game of the year. Usually, if you win game of the year, you've either won best game direction or best narrative. Now, best art direction. This one, for me, is an easy one. You've got Final Fantasy VII. Again, gorgeous. Ghost of Tsushima, gorgeous. Hades, gorgeous. Last of Us Part 2, gorgeous. But I just feel like Ori and the Will of the Wisps is just on another level when it comes to art style and art direction. That game, if there's a safe bet to throw all of your rubies on, that is the category to win. If Ori doesn't win this category, and again, no offense to any of the games, I think they're all gorgeous, but Ori's just on another level when it comes to art direction. It's one of the best looking games that I've played, just popping on, and you just see everything you see on screen is beautiful at all times.
Yeah, I agree on that. I totally agree on that. I actually watched my wife play through that one. But I gotta be honest with you, the only thing about it that I think might keep it from winning the category is that it is kind of an expansion on the look of the first game. Mm-hmm. And so I think the fact that it's not an original title and that it is just a continued progression of that look might hold it back in this category. Otherwise, I would say it's absolutely the clear winner for sure.
Who would you take for the winner?
Probably Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
I think people really like that. I saw a lot of people and I heard a lot of podcasts specifically talk about the art in that game.
Do you think it has more to do with the time period? Because we don't really see that time period in a lot of games.
I think it's the time period, and I think it's the use of that time period for sure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we don't see it enough. There's, Shadow Tactics plays with the Shogun, and what was the Jade Empire? But otherwise, we don't see that enough. So for sure, I think that contributes.
Sean, you got any? You think Ori takes this one?
I agree with you that Ori should win it. I don't think it's gonna win it. I think, and it's not because it's a little bit of what Tim said, and a little bit of it's probably the least played game on this list. So, and you have to remember that this is being voted by the media. So if everybody didn't play that game, it's not going to get the votes. I think any one of these has a shot if enough people played it. But I agree. I do agree with Tim in that Ghost of Tsushima is probably going to win.
Fair point. Best score in music. You've got Doom, Final Fantasy, Hades, Ori, and Last of Us. I know you guys were both disappointed in Doom, but I think we can all agree that the score for Doom, especially if you like that hard, when you play Doom, half the reason you're amped to play and go kill things is because of the hardcore metal you're listening to while you're doing it.
Yeah, the music.
It's unique. I don't think any other game really does that kind of soundtrack nowadays.
No, and I could see that being a reason why it win, but my vote for this is Ori.
Ori, yep. Agreement there. I can 100% get around behind that.
No, I missed the chainsaw. There wasn't as much of that modified chainsaw sound from the first game that I really loved. But yeah, no, I think the music in Doom Eternal was fantastic. I know there was some controversy around how it was rendered or how it was recorded or something like that. Like that they turned it into a digitized soundtrack when it wasn't supposed to be something like that. But other than that, I think Doom Eternal probably has it.
Yeah. No, I'm in full agreement with you there. Best performance. You got Ashley Johnson as Ellie, Laura Bailey as Abby. Again, I think I did this last time. I'm going to even try to pronounce anybody in Ghost of Tsushima. But anyway, the main character that you play as. Logan Cunningham as Hades. And the Najee Jeter, sorry if I butchered that, as Miles Morales. And I'll go to you first, Sean, as you played, I think, all of these games for Hades. What kind of performance stood out for you personally?
Laura Bailey as Abby. She was phenomenal. what she brings to the, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Laura Bailey, like as Laura Bailey, like herself.
Yep.
She's couldn't be more different than Abby, and the the depth and just the way she got me to care about that character is phenomenal. That's who my vote is for. I think putting them both in this category is going to cost them this category. It's just similar to the Oscars. It'll split the votes. And I honestly think this is going to go to Najee Jeter as Miles Morales.
Yeah. Yeah. As you played it most recently, do you think comparing, it's fair to compare the Peter Parker performance to his, even in a shorter game, do you think he conveyed that, superhero, but as the Spider-Man, I don't really know what I'm doing?
Yeah, very good. Very, very good performance. Not my favorite performance of the year, but that's more of like, I don't really like the tenor of his voice. That's just a personal thing. But objectively, it's a good performance. And he's very good, and he does he's very good at portraying that exactly the way you described it.
Tim, you're probably in the same boat as me. Again, we are both Xbox guys, so we haven't played any of these, unfortunately. Yeah, you'll notice a trend to a lot of good PlayStation games up this year, that's for sure. Have you heard of any of these performances? Have you watched any?
So I actually, when all the controversy was going around Abby as a character, I actually looked up some of the specific cutscenes people were complaining about. I honestly, I would definitely agree with Sean that she probably deserves it. I was surprised at the amount of strength and femininity that was coming through at the same time, which is not something certainly not something we're used to seeing in video games, and not something you see in general in any art form. Being this tough guy, beat you down and rip your throat out kind of character who's also genuinely feminine and vulnerable. I think that I definitely think she deserves it. I could see Miles winning it, but I honestly think it's either going to be her or Miles. I'm not as not negative. I forget the word. I'm not as negative on Abby winning it as Sean is. I think she could pull it out just because I think that I think Ellie is a progression of something we've seen before, but I think Abby was new enough that that I don't think splitting the vote's going to be as much of an issue.
True. And everybody complaining about how big she looked. I'm talking about Abby in the game. Everybody who is anybody enjoys Star Wars is watching Mandalorian right now, and everybody sees how big Kara is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to remember her. Yeah, she's huge. She's jacked. Women like that do exist. It's called working out and being good at a professional sport like wrestling, professional entertainer.
Honestly, I think
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think what threw people is the head swap, because the fact she had a different actress's head. I honestly think that might have thrown people because I looked at a picture of the athlete that they did for the sculpted for the body, for the bodice versus the head, and she doesn't look at all masculine. She definitely looks ripped. She doesn't look at all masculine. So I almost wonder if the head of the actress that they used was like, for some people there was a weird it didn't look like the head of someone who was that ripped. Like maybe the muscles, veins, whatever.
No, that's not it. It's literally because they don't think it's realistic that she could get that big in a post-apocalypse. Let's forget that they're willing to suspend belief that fungus zombies exist, but a woman can't get that big. In this game, they show that she lives they take over a stadium, like a whole football stadium. This is the Seahawks Stadium in Seattle, or whatever it's called, where the Seahawks play, and they turned it into a fully functioning farm where they have livestock, they have crops, they have solar panels, they have all this stuff. So she has food and protein, and there's a big, giant-sized gym in the stadium. They show that as well. So it's clear that she had everything she needed to become jacked. People are looking for reasons to hate her. When it started, mind you, when the leaks came out, before anybody came out, they thought she was trans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a rumor that she was trans because she was so jacked, because they can't fathom that a woman gets that jacked. These are pathetic little man babies.
I heard podcasters that weren't trying to be mean at all that thought she was trans. They were like talking about it's really interesting that they chose to have a trans main character.
Yeah, based on the rumors. But once the game came out, you find out she's not trans. You know what I mean? So it's just like whatever. But like, I just want to know, going back to one thing. I'm supposedly the PlayStation guy, and I played the Xbox games.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think, it for me, like, I think me and Tim are the same thing. It's just money issue. And I want to get a PS4 because I do want to play those games. I do want to play The Last of Us. I want to play The Last of Us 2. It's one of those things, but you start getting in. Games have begun, and I won't go on too much of a tangent here, but games have become, like, they just take up too much time. They do. You don't have enough time nowadays to, you think back, you harken back to your days in high school, or, when you have your GameCubes and your, original Xboxes and 360s. Like, the games that came out were so much smaller. Like, there wasn't as much to do. Now, almost every game needs to be as a games as a service, which keeps you continuing to play. So you just don't have as much time. I would love to, and I'm one of those people where, and I'm sure other people can attest to this, where I'm one of those people that likes to play. I might not necessarily absolutely love the game, but I like to play games that my friends play, because I obviously everyone enjoys games more when they play with their friends. So you kind of get in the mindset of like, oh, your friends are on. Oh, I need to play multiplayer with them. And I'm really bad for it, because my friends will be on and I don't have the willpower to be like, hey, I'm going to go finish the COD campaign, or, do something else. That's a single player thing. Apex lately, and that's my problem, is I need to be better at just saying, hey, I'm going to go focus on this one specific game. And Sean, I totally, like, you're very into the finish one game, go on to the next. I honestly wish I could do that. I have such, like, I wanted to sit down and play Gears Tactics. I wanted to sit down and play through the Star Wars Squadrons, the rest of the campaign that I reviewed. There's a few missions that I never got to, and I really wanted to go in and play them. It's just,
it's so funny.
You get preoccupied with those multiplayer games.
I honestly don't play as much multiplayer as I used to, mostly because I haven't enjoyed a multiplayer game as much as I like. I mean, I put a lot of time into Call of Duty. I put really a lot of time into Titanfall 2. But other than that, this gen, I really haven't. Well, I mean, I guess unless you consider the Division and Destiny multiplayer games, I did play a lot of those. But here's the thing, and I can give you tips. I'm really good at time management.
Yeah.
Like, I manage my time. So when I was living with my ex-girlfriend, I had a full-time job. I managed to put in 300 hours into Skyrim and get the platinum, just by waking up 2 hours before my girlfriend got up.
That's awesome.
I would be like, all right, I'm just going to sacrifice, get up a couple hours early. This is going to be my game time. Because she hated when I played video games when she was up. Hated it. So you just got to learn how to time management.
All right, we're going to keep moving on here. Another good category, and it's different. Best ongoing games. So these are going to be your Apexes, Destiny 2, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. What do I want to win? As a massive Apex fan, I think it's the best Battle Royale. I think it's the Battle Royale that has a good actual story, and it's got good mechanics because it's freaking Titanfall. And it gives me hope that hopefully Titanfall 3 will be coming at some point. I do like how they've incorporated a little bit of the Titanfall lore, though, into the game. So that's made me pretty happy. But unfortunately, as a big Fortnite hater, I think this game is going to win just by the sheer amount of volume that it gets in terms of updates. It's ridiculous because Epic Games is this massive studio that was making huge games like Gears of War prior, and now they only work on this one. They're basically a publisher now. This game has made them so much money. So, it's going to be Fortnite based on the fact that they have this massive studio putting updates behind it, in my opinion. Tim, what are you kind of leaning towards?
I think, and I'm with you. Apex Legends, I think, is by far the best Battle Royale. Not that that's a genre I'm overly fond of, but I have enjoyed a lot of time with Apex. and I also mourn for the fact that Titanfall 3 is unlikely. But that being said, I actually think No Man's Sky probably deserves it because of the turnaround that game represents. It's just incredible. There's very rare we see anything like that. I think maybe Final Fantasy 14 is the only other thing quite like it we've ever seen, where a game came out and people really like it was really joked on and clowned about, and it's turned into something that people put hours and hours into. I think that's really cool. But I also think that Fortnite's gonna clench it. Just again, it's at some point volume trumps everything. I mean, new updates every week. They're working with Disney on stuff. I mean, you have to get huge before Disney will talk to you.
Yeah.
So
I think again, I don't play it, but I believe they went from Marvel. Now they're on Star Wars stuff. You get Star Wars in the game.
I think they went back to Marvel. I think they're doing doing Galactus stuff now, right?
I think that just ended. If I'm being wrong, I think it just ended, and now they're. I think they're Star Wars. I could be wrong. Anyway,
I get updates by osmosis, so I don't actually know.
Sean, how about you? I know you're not the biggest Battle Royale fan. There's a lot of Battle Royales in here, but do you have a certain favorite or something that you think is going to win?
I want to see Destiny 2 win because it's the best game of this bunch. I hate Apex Legends. I hate it with every fiber of my being. Not just because it's a battle royale, but on the principle of the fact that because this game exists, we're not getting Titanfall 3. I hate that 75 million people played this game, but not Titanfall 3, like Titanfall 2. So fuck that. Fuck everybody. I hate it. Fortnite's going to win because the world is trash and trash gets rewarded.
And like I said, I did preference as saying he didn't like battle royale, so you know what you're getting into here.
But
you know what though? As a Destiny player and someone who's got back into it, totally agree. I think they do a good job. I think they have too many fuck ups with their community, and their community really dislikes a lot of it. Especially since now I'm a little more a part of it. I can see what goes on with the community, and oh boy, you want a hard community that doesn't get talked about enough. You try the Destiny 2 community because it's all they have like their new light stuff. Destiny, and I've tried to get a couple of my friends into it, and they have, and the only reason they have is because I will literally make a new character and handhold their way through until they understand what the hell they're doing. Destiny is a super hard game to get into nowadays, like because of them ripping out most of the story, and the game got too big, so they did rip out a bunch of stuff. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it is fairly hard to get into, but it's fun. It's a free to play. It's a great game. But yeah, like Sean said, the world sucks. So Fortnite will probably win.
I disagree. I think that Apex happened because Titanfall 3 is not going to happen. I don't think it's the other way around.
But I think
Battlefield.
I agree with Sean though. It sucks, but at the end of the day, this is all EA's fault. This is EA's fault, and I've said it a million times. This is EA's fault for goddamn putting it between Battlefield and Call of Duty.
It's Respawn's fault too. If they wanted to, they could have really pushed back and been like, "No, this is a terrible idea. Do not do this." But they weren't like. I honestly think EA fucking did that so that Respawn would have no option but to sell to them.
Because you have to remember, at that time, they'd only made Titanfall 1, I believe, and it was received well, but the player base died very quickly because it was a console exclusive. It was on the Xbox One, which wasn't selling well at the time.
No campaign, so it was hard to connect to the characters.
Yeah, they didn't have that influence because now you look at Respawn and it's like they could do anything and EA will let them do it. And that's why I hope for Titanfall 3, and I still have a glimmer of hope because like when we saw Star Wars, not any game that isn't made on the DICE engine, because EA demands everything be made on the DICE engine. Whenever you see a studio that's owned by EA, not on the DICE engine, you're like, okay. They got some swing. They've got something here. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I think some of that happened. I think a lot of that is because when that project started before EA bought Respawn.
Yeah.
So that might have been already in development, but I'm glad it was successful and Apex is successful because it shows that hey, we don't need the Frostbite engine in everything.
Yeah.
But I think from what I gather, Apex started as a battle royale mode for Titanfall.
Mm-hmm.
And then Titanfall 2 didn't really like do well, so they kind of branched it off and then just worked on it in secret and then brought it to EA and were like, this is what we made. And then they were like, we can compete with Fortnite. And so they I don't know if you guys remember, they announced it and dropped it on the same day.
Oh man, I love when studios do that. And it came out, my favorite part too, as I remember playing it day one, and it was flawless. There was nothing wrong with the game.
It's not my kind of game, but on a control level, yes, it plays well because it's Respawn and it's ex-Infinity Ward people and they know what they're doing. They make great shooters. Yep. But the fact that this game was so successful, there's no Titanfall 3 happening.
No, it sucks.
If there is a Titanfall, it's going to be a complete reboot, and they're not going to call it Titanfall 3. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I can't even be that optimistic to think that to even come up with a possible scenario where we see Titanfall 3.
Yeah. Well,
that does suck. Shoot.
Yeah. So moving on, now we're getting into more of the nitty gritty, your basic game category. So best action game, Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life, Alyx, Neo 2, Streets of Rage 4. I've played, I believe, 2 of these, and I have tried Half-Life, Alyx, and it does kind of suck. I don't know how any of these VR games are going to win. Maybe this one specifically, just because it does have that, the Half-Life name behind it, and it is a VR game that got amazing reviews, but just not enough. Sean, I know you've echoed this point in the past. There's just not enough people have played it to really get behind it.
It's going to win best VR game.
Yeah, there you go. But best action game, I think it's going to be between Neo 2 and Doom. Because Doom on an action level, it was disappointing. But as an action game, I still think it's the best one up there.
I think Hades is more of a dark horse.
And you know what? That is fair, Tim. I haven't played Hades. I don't even. I swear, there's always a game every year that I swear no one's heard of, and it's up there on like every category. Again, I could just be being closed bubble here. I feel like I've never heard of it. A lot of people I know have never heard of it. It looks good. I looked up trailers and stuff and gameplay. It looks fun. But it's just hard for me to kind of understand when I didn't know it was big.
We haven't been talking about snubs. Ori 2 not being in this category is a snub.
Yeah.
Because the action in that game is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe it or not, as the resident Souls fan, I bounced off of Neo 2 really quick. I tried to play it 3 times. I'm just not in the mood for that game. Like, I've tried really hard, but it just makes me want to go back and play an actual proper From Software game.
Yeah.
It's just...
Tim, anything for this category that kind of...
I thought Streets of Rage 4 was really good.
Yeah.
I would love it if Streets of Rage 4 won. I don't think it will. But I really liked that game. I thought it was fun. I loved the art direction. I loved the visuals of that. Mm-hmm. No, I was very positive on Streets of Rage 4. It was a fun time. But I would expect not Doom, the other one. What did we say?
Hades.
I think Hades could win. Honestly, I think Hades could win. But I think it's probably going to be no, not
Half-Life?
I'm sorry. No, what's the other one?
Neo?
Sorry, I'm trailing behind you. No, I think it could be
I just named them all.
We just named every single game.
Doom, Hades, Half-Life, Neo, and Streets of Rage.
Oh, I thought there was another one in there.
No.
Okay.
No, I said Ori got snubbed. Ori's in the next category.
Oh, that's okay. That's why I was saying there was another one.
Yeah.
No, Ori should have been included as well. And frankly, I think Battle Rock Galactic should have been included, which is the biggest snub of the whole flipping show. that wasn't included anywhere. That game was.
If you haven't heard of it, go look it up.
Tim, oh my gosh, that game was great.
Tim loves it.
My friend tried to get me to play that, and I was like, nope.
It's in the best action adventure game. I think this is the hardest category. If I'm being honest with you.
I think Doom probably has it. I think the action in Doom, even though I think the second half.
You're talking about best action.
Yeah, I think Doom's going to win that category.
Yeah. I think the Marauder brought down the action in the second half, but I think and the final boss wasn't as good as it could have been. But otherwise, I think that the action in that game was solid. You know,
Yep.
they added some other new enemies that
It's
were
Doom.
cool.
That's what I say. It's Doom. You know what you're getting. It's a great time.
Yeah.
But anyway, best action adventure. The Ori's in this one.
This is
I think this is the hardest category to decide. I think all the games in it are well deserving of this. Assassin's Creed, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Ori, Star Wars, Fallen Jedi, and then Last of Us 2. I think all of these games, I don't think this is the one category that I have a hard time even picking who can win, because I think all of them are up there as they're great action games. And personally, just on a level of games that I've played, I've actually played most of Assassin's Creed. Plus, I played a little bit of Ghosts. I haven't played Spider-Man. Ori, I played. I really like Fallen Order. I really liked it. It was a Souls light, so I'm not a huge Souls fan, but I really did like this, and I liked that it was in the Star Wars universe. It got a lot of praise, and it finally. My whole thing with this game is it's not what it brought to the game. It's what it brought, and it's really sad we have to say that, is what it brought to EA. It gave EA the light bulb of, oh, wow, we can make single-player games that don't have microtransactions in them, and we can make actual money from them. Wow, who would have thought?
Don't you mean surprise mechanics?
Yeah.
on just a couple of things. One, the reason why, based on the description, combining combat and traversal with puzzle solving, Ori is hands down the best game in this list.
Sure.
But I also feel like it not being the most popular is going to hurt it. Like objectively, based on the description that they have, Ori is. I've played all of these games.
Yeah.
Ori's the best one. Like in that category, The Last of Us. As much as I love The Last of Us, it does a lot of things really well, but it doesn't master that one thing that Ori does. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that was my problem with Fallen Order. I feel like it apes a lot of stuff from a lot of games, but didn't do any of them well enough to excel at them. It's not a good. It's a okay Souls-like. It's an okay climbing Uncharted like game. It's it's stuff like that. Like the combat's fine, but it could be better. The best part is when you can when you're full on using your force powers. That's the best part of the game. That's the best thing they did in the game. Spider-Man's really good. Assassin's Creed to me is the weakest game on this list in this category. I don't know why it's on here, to be honest with you. It's good, but it doesn't excel at anything. Ghost, it's really, really polished for what it is, but objectively, Ori is the game that should win this. It's not going to, because again, not a lot of people played it, which really sucks. But I honestly think this one could go to either Ghost or Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree. Tim, how about for you?
No, I think it's probably going to be Tsushima.
Yeah.
I think Tsushima, specifically around the action mechanics, there's a lot of positive buzz for. So I think it's going to be Tsushima. I'd love it if Ori won it, but I think it's going to be Tsushima. I think that people really liked the way that game handled its action. So
I agree. So these next couple categories, we're just going to run through really quick because I don't think we have a lot of time in any of them. So best role playing, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Final Fantasy VII, Genshin Impact, Persona 5, Wasteland 3, Yakuza. I haven't played any of these. I don't really have too much of an opinion on them. I don't know what you guys have played.
I played Final Fantasy Remake to completion, and I played the original Persona 5 for about 10 hours and bounced off of it. The music ruined it for me. I talked about this the last time, and Avery gave a gasp. But yeah, the music ruined for it. I was just like, God, stop with this obnoxious music. So I just bounced off of it.
You can just turn the music down, can't you? In the menu?
Yeah, but then there's nothing.
Yeah, then you have silence.
It's called a boombox.
So that's it. So I voted for Final Fantasy based on what I've heard, I listen to a lot of podcasts. That's where I've heard of Hades and stuff like that. And based on all the talk, I can't see any other game but Final Fantasy winning this category.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of talk. Tim, anything for you?
I've heard that Like a Dragon is sweet, and I've heard that it's an incredibly cool RPG take on the world of Yakuza with different characters. So I think personally I'd like to see that one win because I think that's a cool idea. But Final Fantasy VII, that's the legacy game. We've been waiting on that for 6 years now. So
yeah,
I think it's probably that one.
Yeah, I agree. Best role-playing. Oh, sorry, I just read that. Best fighting game. Sorry. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Mortal Kombat 11, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, One Punch Man, and Under Night in Birth. Again, I've only played Mortal Kombat from this.
I've never even heard of the first and the last game.
Yeah, I feel like
Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 11 is winning.
Yeah. I just don't think anything, and it's weird because I know the other games, especially Street Fighter, has like this huge, like they're way bigger in Mortal Kombat in terms of like professional like esports in them. Like
being boring.
It's really weird. It's really weird like that. Like no one really takes Mortal Kombat seriously when it comes to like esports and competitive tournaments. I feel like
it's coming around. The last two games have gotten more love.
Yeah, but it's just one of those games that I love. Like Mortal Kombat, you get together with a few friends and you start looking up. Who's this? Oh, okay. Someone look up online for their finisher. I need to see it. You just love. I love the creativity that they come up with every single time a game comes out for Mortal Kombat, and just how many ways can you kill somebody in the most bizarre ways possible, and I absolutely love it. So I'm really hoping.
I love the Mortal Kombat game. This last trilogy has really been impressive to me. Yeah, for sure.
You've got your best sim strategy games. So you got Crusader Knights 3, Desperados 3, Gears Tactics, Microsoft Flight Simulator, XCOM, Chimera Squad or Chimera Squad. I forget how you pronounce it.
Chimera.
I actually I've been dabbling in Gears Tactics, especially on the console. It's really good. But I've heard I will be shocked if Microsoft Flight Simulator, only for the reason that the technology behind it is absolutely incredible. And it's one of those games you look at it and you really have to kind of pause and take a look at it a few times to actually see that it's a video game. The technology behind Microsoft Flight Simulator is insane.
As long as you're far away from the ground.
It's the best reviewed game on this list.
Yep. And it's weird because you do have those people. It's not a game. It's a simulator, blah, blah, blah. But it's just the tech behind it to me, regardless of what it is it truly impressive.
I mean, it's come on. I mean, to anybody who's going to, like, if you want to talk about what's not a game, let's talk about Gone Home. Gone Home's not a video game. Flight Sim, you have a lot of shit to do at the same time. Like, the only thing it doesn't have is, like, a win state.
Yeah, there's no winning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's
the fact that there isn't a win or a fail state, I think, is what people get hung up on.
Well, I mean, you could crash the plane, and you did not succeed.
That's true.
All right, true. I like these two last categories just because I feel like they're troll categories.
Real fast in that category.
No. These last two categories are specifically so we can get angry at things. So we're gonna do the sports racing games. Dirt 5, F1 2020, FIFA 21, NBA 2K21, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It is a unanimous decision. I don't even need to go to anybody, and we all agree it's Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And the fact that these gambling, FIFA and NBA games are even up here is a disgrace, in my opinion. And the fact,
that's offensive.
And I don't hate on people for what they play, but I have no problem saying if you buy any of these games yearly, I dislike you.
Tony Hawk's walking away with this. There's everyone loves a comeback story, and that game, everybody loved it. It kind of came and went because it was quick.
Yeah.
Well, it was a game like you would play it. It's an excellent game, but it's not a game that's going to have a long tail like all these other games. Mm-hmm. However, everyone loves a comeback story, and everybody loves Tony Hawk. Yep. That game's. I'll be shocked.
Game's so good.
If any game doesn't, not only I wouldn't play any of these other games, but that one. But I would be shocked if Tony Hawk doesn't win this award.
Because we all agree that it's Tony Hawk, I'm going to start again with you, Sean. What Tony Hawk game? What's your favorite one, and would you want to see it be remastered?
Out of the Tony Hawk games?
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I mean, I really liked 1 and 2, like for real. I think Tony Hawk 3 was my favorite, but it's been a long time since I played them. I will instead of doing that, I'm going to go with what I think is an underrated Tony Hawk game, and that's Project 8.
Really? Is that the one that had the board?
No.
Oh, that's Ride.
I was thinking of right. No,
I was about to
Project.
say
I was thinking of right. No,
I was about to
Project.
say that's a shocker.
No. Project 8 was the first one that came out for like the 360 PS3 generation.
Oh, okay.
I really wanted that game when it came out, and I just never ended up getting it.
Yeah.
I thought it looked cool.
Is there a Tony Hawk game for you, Tim, that is your favorite?
Yes, and as you might imagine, it's a little off the beaten path. I would love to see another Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam,
Wow.
which was
okay.
a Wii exclusive, where you steered with the Wii controller like Mario Kart, and it was a downhill racing game like SSX.
Not too many of those anymore, eh? They seem to have gone.
It was. I loved it, man. I platinumed it. I loved it way more than it deserved my love, especially because it's the only Tony Hawk game to be like, Tony Hawk's the only real skater in it. All the others are these crazy fictional characters with funny accents. Like, I loved it. I thought it was great, racing down Machu Picchu. And
did you ever play a game on the PS2, either of you, called Downhill Domination? Maybe it was PS1. No, I think it was PS2.
I remember it, but I didn't play it.
Okay.
I don't really like.
Yeah, I do remember it. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like you said, Tim, another one of those downhill games, but it was with bikes, and they tried to be realistic / not realistic. You could get upgrades as you're going down the hill. You get upgrades, and one of the upgrades you could get is you could upgrade your ability to knock people off their bikes. So I believe the first upgrade was you'd punch someone. The next one is you'd hit your back tire at them, and you could get all the way up to throwing water bottles at people. So as they're coming next to you and passing you, just throw a water bottle and they just fall off their bike. It was quite a good game. If you've never heard of it or seen it, I recommend you take a look at it. But yeah, we can all agree, Tony Hawk.
The game only had one flaw, and that is that the challenges don't reset for each skater. If that happened, I think it would be a perfect game.
Yeah, actually, and now that you say that, I never noticed that. Okay, then we'll get to best multiplayer here. And, oh, boy, do we have some beauties. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Among Us, Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys, Valorant. This is just – I think Among Us is going to win just for the sole fact. It's funny because you look at all of these games and you've got one massively mega franchise in Call of Duty. You've got another massively mega franchise in Animal Crossing. You've got a third, not a huge franchise, but one that's backed by League of Legends money. You've got another game that came out of nowhere that was released and is now, kind of dead. I wouldn't say dead, but it's not as big. And then you got a game that came out 2 years ago that got popular, and it's the biggest game on the planet now. Honestly, you can have your opinion on Among Us. I love the story behind it. I love how this game out of nowhere just became this instantly. It's been out for 2 years. Like, I can't even imagine being a developer behind that game of your 4-man studio, and out of nowhere your game just starts earning millions of dollars after 2 years. I can't imagine it.
Like, it's a video game version of a youth group game, and it just flipping exploded. I played the base game's called Mafia, the thing it's based on. Yeah. I played that with my youth group kids like years ago. When I was growing up, we were playing that. And then all of a sudden it's the biggest game in the world, man. Yeah, it's an incredible story. I think it's bullshit it's in this category, though, because it is 2 years old. But
that's a great story for them and all of that. That's great. But it should be in this category because it's a fucking 2-year-old game. Yeah. And I think fuck all these games. But if what I think's going to win, I think Animal Crossing or Among Us is going to win.
Yeah. And you know what? I will say, like, I'm not like this massive Among Us fan, but I did actually get the chance to get 10 friends together 2 weekends ago. We played it, and honestly, just being on the mic, it's just it's your. I'm sure you guys played the Jackbox party games ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that. Like, you get together, you're there to just have a good time, and it is a great time because it is hilarious to listen to people lie. And how good you can kind of get. You can kind of figure out really quickly who is good at making people believe the BS that they say. It's very interesting as like a social experiment. It's really interesting because I've
never played it. I just hate the way it looks.
Yeah, it's a mobile game at the end of the day. It is a mobile game. That's where I play it because I'm not going to buy it on PC.
Well, they were working on a sequel when this blew up, and they canceled the sequel and backdated all. So we're just going to add all these updates.
Yeah, smart for them. And like I reiterated, it's just one of those stories. Like I just can't imagine waking up and being that small indie dev and the amount of money that they're making now, and the amount of offers that they probably had from companies to put like their ad, not even ads, just to put like characters in the game with skins that are sponsored skins. I can't even, like, your reach is huge. People are going to be dropping millions. But I'm happy they haven't done that yet. I'm happy they haven't got the corporate greed in them yet. They've just been putting out slow updates.
Yeah, I will say this. Fall Guys is the game I have been most envious I didn't get to participate in this year.
Yeah.
Of all the
Yeah,
games,
I know.
because I was an Xbox guy, I didn't get to play. Fall Guys is the one I was most upset about.
Mhm.
I played one game and I deleted it.
It is infuriating.
Sean, you were nothing if not decisive, my man.
The worst part is about the Fall Guys, and even Among Us to an extent too, is these are games, like, this is just the world we live in now because people are competitive at everything. When we're getting guides about how to win at Fall Guys, like, this is like going back 10 or 20 years and someone putting out a 20-minute YouTube video of how to win at Mario Party and the strategies for Mario Party. Like, it just doesn't exist. But that's where we're at now. We need to be competitive at everything.
I also got a bone to pick. I know I said it previously. The fact that Battle Rock Galactic is not in this category of all the categories is infuriating.
Well, we'll add it to the list. Now, I wanted to do one last category that's not on here, and we're just going to do most anticipated game for 2021. I'm just going to ask both of you. Tim, I'm going to start with you. What's your most anticipated game of 2021?
Hitman 3, sir.
Easy answer. Sure to guess.
Easy answer. I'll be playing that
delayed
game
at all,
all
or
year
do you
long.
think it's pretty firm on its release date? It's spring?
January, man. It's January 20th.
Wow.
If it wasn't firm now, they would have announced a delay by now.
Okay.
Plus, they're
Cyberpunk says hi.
Yeah, Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk literally confirmed it was coming out the next day. So this is coming out, and they're like, yes. The next day they delayed it.
Yeah.
So
fair enough, but Cyberpunk had a history.
Yep.
And it wasn't it was a whole new piece of technology. The Hitman 3 is based on an engine that they had in place since 2016 or earlier.
Really quick, I just want to follow you up because you are the resident Hitman guy. Really quickly, just tell me how excited you are for IO to do James Bond game.
Oh my gosh, dude! I literally I was giggling in my chair at work. I'm so glad that everyone else in my office quit and I'm working by myself right now while my boss hires new people, because I was literally giggling. I was so oh my goodness gracious! I loved all the James Bond games growing up. I am so excited for that. It's the perfect engine for it. The Glacier engine is flipping perfect. I cannot wait. I could see them. They're probably going to do something that's Sean Connery focused because he's the favorite, or I forget the current.
It's going to be. I guarantee you, it's not. It's going to be
Daniel Craig.
No, not a famous Bond. It's going to be like they're going to create a Bond. I guarantee.
I can see that.
You're for sure, but I meant more like thematically. But I think Glacier would be the perfect engine for a Roger Moore zany, like literally turning the bad guy into a balloon until he pops kind of game. Oh man, you pulled the trigger there, man. I am so excited about that.
Well, I'm glad to hear. Sean, how about for you? What's your most anticipated game for 2021?
Before I say that, I want to give a shout out to a category we didn't cover, which was Best Debut, and I want it to go to Mortal Shell, but I think it's going to go to Raji. But I want Mortal Shell to win that. It's a great game. My most anticipated game is Elden Ring, which should come as a surprise to no.
Okay, let me rephrase my question then. What game that is guaranteed to come out in 2021 are you most excited for?
How the fuck can we guarantee?
I know you can't.
No, I can't imagine under any circumstance. The rumor is that Elden Ring's almost done. They've just been holding off, waiting to show it. But I honestly think so. Elden Ring, out of a game, no games even have dates except Hitman. Like everything keeps shifting.
There's like 5 or 6 other games, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sticking with Elden Ring. From Software, at this point they can do no wrong to me. So it's Elden Ring.
Yep.
I think Elden Ring will be cool. I'm not a big Souls guy. I've actually never played a Souls type game, but Elden Ring is real.
How do you know you're not a Souls guy then?
Because I can't be until I play one, Sean.
I was not a Souls person at all. I avoided all those games like the Plague because I kept hearing how hard they were and how confusing they were and all this stuff. And I rented Bloodborne on a whim. I just said, I'll give this a shot. It's my favorite game of all time.
Well, to end it, this should come to no surprise, and it's the perfect because as we finish recording, and we'll probably talk about it next week, the Halo Infinite stuff. But Halo Infinite for me, for sure, huge Halo fan. It's been 5 years. I'm cautiously optimistic that this year delay that they've got going on is going to fix the problems that a lot of Halo fans were worried about, especially graphically. I would like them again. I'm more of a fan of the Halo 5 more realistic style than I am the old school style. Maybe controversial, but my opinion.
Oh, that's very controversial.
Yeah. This is the thing. Like when they showed that game, and everyone's like, "It looks like old Halo." I'm like, "That's not a good thing. It's 2020. Mm-hmm. Like, why can't you have that good Halo, buttery smooth, very crisp, very refined, very honed gameplay with a more modern aesthetic? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, I don't get why people like reject that. And Halo 5, if Halo 5 would have had a better story, no one would give a shit how
I don't
it
think
modern.
It's just the aesthetic. I don't think it's the aesthetic. I think the looking down sights completely threw me. I downloaded Halo 5. I waited until it was on Game Pass because I didn't like Halo 4 very much. I put like 300 hours into Halo Reach's multiplayer. And I waited till Halo 5 was on Game Pass, and I downloaded it. I literally played it for maybe 2 hours, and I was like, this is awful. The looking down sights, at some point it stopped feeling like Halo. So for me, it's more than the aesthetic. I like the idea of a modernized looking game. But, I mean, Halo's got to play different.
But aiming down sights didn't help you at all in that game. It was purely cosmetic for people who like Call of Duty. Like in Call of Duty, it has a function where it works and makes you aim more accurately. In Halo, it didn't.
It didn't. It was just Halo, more the realistic kind of look.
Yeah, it was just Halo. A cosmetic, like, oh, you're aiming this way. It's still like it at all. You still had. Well, you didn't have to use it.
It felt so well.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It was controversial, especially with old school Halo fans, because Halo isn't like that. And I'm
not even talking about that. That's fine. If somebody wants to just to have it be like an old school traditional, I don't aim down the sight shooter, that's fine. I'm talking about the aesthetics. Like, it's 2020. Make the game look modern. It looks like a 360 game.
Yep. No, I agree.
I didn't think it looked as bad as everyone else did, but I am excited that they're giving it more time.
Yep. So. No, we'll definitely get into it next week, but I think that is where we're going to end it. I hope you enjoyed our Game Awards special. Enjoy the Game Awards. I hope there's a lot of good surprises we can talk about next week. I'm excited to see. I'll give Jeff Keighley this. He knows how to surprise people with good trailers and stuff we don't expect. In a day and age where leaks are a daily thing, it is nice to have a surprise once in a while, and that's what I really do enjoy about the Game Awards. Is they do keep those surprises as surprises. So Sean, sign off. You working on anything right now?
No, I am not reviewing anything until I don't know when the next thing I'm going to review is. Right now, I'm just playing games for fun. I might since we don't have one, I might throw an Assassin's Creed review up just so there's an Assassin's Creed review, or and I have Gods and Monsters on queue next, and then I refuse to call it Phoenix. I hate Immortals Phoenix Rising. I hate it. So I'm going to keep calling Gods and Monsters. And then I also have because a lot of people recommended it, I had a spot on my queue, I rented Sackboy. But like you said earlier, I only play one game at a time, so who knows when I'm going to get to that.
Early 2021?
Yeah, probably.
Tim, how about you? You got anything on the pipe right now?
I'm working on a review for Pawn Poo for the site, like I said. That game is hard, so it might be a little bit longer than my normal turnaround time. I'm about halfway through right now. Still playing through Hitman 2, and who knows, I might still try and do a Need for Speed Hot Pursuit remastered review, because that was a game I was really wanting, and was waiting to decide about Cyberpunk before I bought it, and I might just go ahead and get it now. So we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, for me, kind of the same thing. I believe I'm going to start a write-up just because it's around the holidays and some underrated games to play around the holidays. I know Cyberpunk is going to take up a lot of people's time, but when it's Christmas Day or in Canada, Boxing Day, or for everybody else, the day after Christmas. You sometimes don't want to get into the big, long single-player games. So I'm definitely looking at some underrated, nice little games that you can get done over your, if you're in college or school, your breaks until you go back start of January. So hopefully there'll be a good list there. And yeah, I think we're all ready for Cyberpunk this week. And I know you two are I believe you're hesitant on both picking it up. I'm going to be
Very
picking it up for
hesitant.
this.
No, I have it. It's coming.
Okay.
It's on its way here. I'm just thinking I'm not going to play it until it gets the next gen update. I have a PS5, so it'll probably run better than it does on the PS4. But if it's, at this point, it's just like maybe I should just wait.
Yeah. No, I'm there with you. But we're just happy it's here. I don't think there's any game that has had more hype than this. So we're going to see how launch week's going to go, and we will definitely have some opinions on next week's episode. So for episode 9, for Sean, Tim, and myself, this is Kyle signing off, the Lock On Podcast.